fine. But at the same time, we destroyed the other Aborigine populations that were here, the American Indian. And now they're virtually non-existent in this country. They're part of our heritage, but they're pretty much wiped out. Okay? So that's what we have going on in this country. And I blame Speaker of the House, Bob Boehner, as much as I blame President Barack Obama for the stalemate. Both are very powerful men who are very confident in their positions, at least publicly, to continue this stalemate. You remember in philosophy, in ethics, Zeno's paradox, the enforceable object meets the immovable. Let's see, how did that go? The unmovable object meets, whatever. Basically, you have two objects that are trying to gain ground, but they keep bumping into each other. And no matter what, they're on a collision course. Now, eventually, the weaker will turn away. But which one is the weaker party here? Because both are very powerful parties. Representative Boehner, I blame for trying to derail the Affordable Care Act. And since he can't seem to defund it, he's trying to get his party to delay its implementation for a year. Well, guess what? It's already been implemented, even during this government shutdown. It's not going to work. So why don't we work with the president and try to find some compromises here? For example, the thing that seems to piss off most people, including me, is the mandatory requirement. Now, I understand why the mandatory requirement is in there, but it's not for the reasons that a lot of conservatives say. If you'll refer to yesterday's show, it's there to protect your financial assets, your ass, not to oppress you, okay? You're only looking at the surface. You got to dig deeper. Meanwhile, I blame the president for standing up more for his party, for the Democrats, which I can't say that I blame him. But you're here to serve the people, even the people that don't like you and the people you don't like. And so he's playing more to his party's interest than he is trying to be president of the United States and speaking for everybody. And you have to reach a compromise there. So that's where we're at in that regard. Well, now two of the largest federal worker unions have scheduled a rally in Washington, D.C. to protest the relative lack of progress by political leaders. Members of the American Federation of Government Employees and the National Treasury Employees Union will take part in a demonstration, and that occurred this morning at 10 o'clock Central Standard Time at the House Triangle on the grounds of the U.S. Capitol. Leaders emphasized that the public servants on furlough because of the shutdown would rather do their jobs than be caught up in a political impasse, according to an announcement from the unions. To me, this is a lot like divorcing parents, and the parents are congressional and senatorial leaders, okay? And the federal workers, the 800,000 that have a job but aren't able to work right now and aren't guaranteed a paycheck now thanks to this impasse, are the children being fought over in this marriage, or more importantly, being ignored. They're screwing the needs of these 800,000 workers at the expense of inflating their own egos and their political agendas, or more in particular, their political careers. They don't give a damn about the people anymore. And that's where you and I are to blame. You know, people are saying that the government isn't listening. Well, we got to shout louder. We got to talk more. We have to interact more. Yes, we have our differences, but if I can work with conservative friends and find a mutual ground, there's no reason why those buttheads in Washington, D.C. can't do the same damn thing. And I'm getting tired of this impasse. And part of it is the attitude in this country. We don't know how to debate properly. And I'm not saying I always play clean or fair, but enough with the dirty tactics. There are rules to debating. And a lot of people think that, some people think I'm wishy-washy. No, it's just that when I was trained in argument and debate, I was trained to look at multiple sides of an issue or a situation, that you have to be prepared to take any argument. Because when you're in a professional debate on a debate team, like in high school or college at that level, you have to be able to switch sides on a given notice. You could be pro or against something, and you have to know your arguments inside and out, and you have to be able to outwit the other person. Now, one of the things I learned early on is, if you can't win an argument with just basic facts, find something obscure. Find something that you think that other person hasn't thought through, and bazinga, you got him. So I became known as the scrambler among some of my friends in college. That, it's like someone's going straight and you pull down, go under them, you pull the rug right out underneath them. Now, I'm not saying that's what we should do in Congress, but we need to find a way to reach an impasse, because it seems like we're just fighting over the same arguments all the time. Yes, Republicans, we know you don't like the Affordable Care Act. Democrats, yes, we know you don't like the Republicans trying to derail the Affordable Care Act. So there's got to be a mutual ground in there somewhere. Find it and make this damn thing work and get this government back up and running. Please. AFGE President David Cox said in a statement, "We're calling on Congress to stop the lockout and allow federal employees to get back to work." Lawmakers, including Representatives Keith Ellison, Democrat of Minnesota, and Raul Galarva, also Democrat from Arizona, who co-chair the Congressional Progressive Caucus, spoke at the rally, or expected to speak at the rally, joining Cox and NTEU President Colleen Kelly. Congress found itself at a standstill earlier this week as the government's previous temporary budget was about to expire, leaving federal agencies without funds to continue operations. The GOP insisted on passing a new short-term spending plan with an amendment to delay provisions of the Affordable Care Act, while Senate Democrats refused to consider those proposals. The stalemate resulted in a virtual halt in government operations Tuesday morning. Labor leaders that day called on lawmakers to swiftly end the shutdown by approving a funding plan without controversial health care amendments. Now, during a media event on Capitol Hill, Kelly described the lawmakers who refused to pass a so-called clean continuing resolution like a little kid taking their ball and going home when they are going to lose the game. "This is not a game," Kelly continued. "People's lives are being hurt by this. Congress must stop this irresponsibility and stop the shutdown now." Lawmakers in the House and Senate have proposed legislation that would provide back pay for federal workers who are furloughed during the lapse in appropriations. The House bill, which has official support from a bipartisan group of 120 lawmakers, is expected to be up for a vote as early as tomorrow. Make it today, please. Let's get this done. All right? So that's the latest on the stalemate, and not much has changed in that regard. Now, along the same line, earlier this week, and I didn't hear about it until roughly about a half hour, 45 minutes ago, is apparently, I'm going to pull up my notes here, a conversation between two Republican senators caught on an open mic Wednesday provided a candid look into their thoughts about the politics surrounding the government shutdown. Talking about the Democrats' stance of refusing to negotiate a compromise to the shutdown stalemate, Senator Rand Paul told fellow Senator Mitch McConnell, "It's awful for them to say," said, quote, "it's awful for them to say that." Senator Rand Paul told fellow Senator Mitch McConnell, in regards to the Democrats' stance of refusing to negotiate a compromise to end the shutdown stalemate, quote, "I don't think they poll tested. We won't negotiate," Paul said. Now, it's that kind of an attitude that is preventing any kind of resolution from taking place. It's that mentality. Congress, I'm only going to tell you this once. Stop this damn pissing contest. Ours is bigger. We are the American people. We're shouting at you to get over your differences and do what's in the best interest of the people that elected your sorry asses into the D.C. in the first place. Those are my words. Paul was coming off an interview with CNN's Aaron Burnett and told Mitch McConnell, whose microphone was switched on for an interview with CNBC, that he has been saying over and over again that we're willing to compromise, we're willing to negotiate. Horse hockey. Earlier, speaking to Burnett on our show Out Front, Paul said, "I would think you have to negotiate, which to me means discussing your differences and trying to get in the middle between the two. So we've been offering some compromises. I think that's what the American people want." Yes, that's what we want. Well, he told Burnett that the original Republican position was that they didn't want Obamacare, any Obamacare, and that's what we truly believe. We think it's bad for the country. Paul said, "That's not bad for the country, it's bad for your pocketbooks." Well, Paul argued for a compromise to end the stalemate. The president wants all of it, a 100%, he told CNN. Well, yesterday, senior White House advisor Dan Pfeiffer said, quote, "What we're not for is negotiating with people who have a bomb strapped to their chest," unquote. And both of the Republicans from Kentucky agreed that that kind of Democratic stance will be bad for the Democrats. So the Democrats are just as bad as the Republicans in this. In some ways, worse because you're hypocrites. And the candidate moment caught on tape. We're still using tape. I thought this was 21st century hard drive here. Anyway, McConnell told Paul that after a 2-hour meeting with congressional Democrats, he found that the left side of the aisle is espousing basically the same view privately as it is publicly. "I know we don't want to be here," Paul told his fellow Republicans from Kentucky, "but we're going to win this, I think." And that is the problem. Okay? Alrighty. On some positive news, well, at least for Democrats like you and me, in the great state of Texas. And it's a lady I've been following for several weeks and months now. Let's see here. Earlier today, where did it go? Alright, here we go. This is from the Texas Tribune, and they have a recap of the announcement. Wendy Davis promised to be an advocate for those who feel they no longer have a voice in the halls of the Texas Capitol, to fight for more education dollars, and to take on Republican leaders who said they are listening to their campaign contributors instead of the Texas people. Meanwhile, an anti-abortion group is targeting Davis in a bilingual radio advertising campaign in South Texas. Texas Right to Life criticizes Davis for opposing new restrictions on abortion in Texas, calling her an abortion zealot. Oh boy. Well, it seems that Texas, the Texas gubernatorial race is now underway, and State Senator Wendy Davis announced her candidacy for the office of Texas governor in the November 2014 election. So wish her all the best in her run for office. This is a woman I think will go on to do national things. I hope she continues on, because I think she'll be a good candidate for president someday. Far better than Hillary Clinton. I'm not knocking Hillary Clinton, but I think her day in the spotlight, in the political spotlight, has come to an end. But that's just my opinion. Alrighty, well, speaking of my opinion, I'm going to step aside for a little bit and rest my choppers and get ready for the next portions of today's program, which includes Today in History in a few minutes, as well as celebrity birthdays, along with News of the Weird a little bit later on, CBS World News Roundup, news headlines in a few minutes as well. And then coming up next, though, we'll have the latest in trends, things you need to know. You've probably only been to the water cooler once or twice today, so I'll spare that comment. But we'll have what's trending for you in just a moment. So stick around, my friends. You're listening to First Cup, and I'm your host, the babbling Joe Haffner.
So glad we left that stupid party.
No joke.
Hey, baby, are you an overdue library book? Because you got fine written all over you.
Oh, barf. What about that girl with the hoop earrings?
Ridiculous. When she was dancing...
Megan, look out! Look out!
Oh my God, Becky. Becky, are you okay?
My arm. I think it's broken.
Can you bend it?
It's already bent. In the wrong direction.
I can't believe this. I'm so sorry.
I only had a few drinks. I was just buzzed.